Hey there, friends. I know many of you have been waiting on this next video for a couple of weeks now, and there's just a lot of new news and things that have come up that have kind of postponed this. But it's here today. First, guys, go check out my friends over at CMMG, cmmg.com. These guys walk the walk. They don't just talk the talk whenever it comes to any kind of Second Amendment support. These guys are very active in the community as far as putting their money where their mouth is. Not only that, they make great firearms too. You can get your selection of calibers, Cerakote finishes, different types of action. One of the cool things about it is you also have a feature where you don't have to pay full price now. You can pay in payment plans. This is a pretty cool feature. Allows you to save a little bit of money now, keep some money in your pocket, and pay over the course of time. I recommend taking a look at this if it's something that fits your needs. Go to cmmg.com, use my discount code FTATF. Again, my discount code is FTATF. Receive 10% off your purchase at cmmg.com. Friends, I broke down the January 2024 gun violence archive numbers for mass shootings a couple of weeks ago. And I told you guys that I would be doing the same thing for their list of school shootings. Now, friends, the reason why this is important for me to do is because the mainstream media, politicians, including the White House, use the gun violence archive as their standard. Their standard in reporting of mass shootings and school shootings. They refer to this database as to why we have a problem, in their words, right? They use this database to stoke fear in people that the problem is probably a little bit more blown out of proportion than what it is. Now, to be fair, I'm not saying that any of these acts of violence are okay. What I'm saying is be honest about how you report and record them. Now, just like I broke down the mass shootings, quote unquote, by the GVA, I took school shootings, and this video right here will blow you away. Why? Did you know that we had 77 school shootings in the month of January 2024? What a way to kick the new year off, right? I mean, at that rate, we're liable to have 1,000 school shootings. But were they really school shootings? I took the liberty of going through these one by one and reading all of the gun violence archives provided data. One thing that I will commend the Gun Violence Archive on is the very fact that they do supply data on every single one of these incidents. So while they may be clouding the numbers purposely, because if everybody's using their website, they're getting clicks, they're getting traffic, so it's good business for them. But at least they provide the support data of every single incident so you can find that this is actually a huge lie. And I have to give them credit for that because it'd be easy for them to say what this is, where it was, just using their chart and not provide the data to show that it's a lie. Now, a quick little bit of factual information that I want to point out that to me proves that the Gun Violence Archive is a dishonest delivery of information is they have some basic definitions of their very own where they talk about, now this is from their website, where they talk about the different types of shootings, quote unquote, that they are including. Look under school shooting, and I apologize for the smallness of the text here. School shooting. They define that as an incident with death or injury that occurs on school property when students, faculty, and or staff are on their premises. Intent during those times are not restricted to specific types of shootings. Incidents that take place on or near school property when no students or faculty or staff are present are not considered school shootings. This statement, this one line, is an absolute lie. The first line, an incident with death or injury that occurs on school property, and then it goes on. Okay, guys, so I want you to remember that definition of school shootings as we go through these school shootings that they classify. 77 of them in January. I went through every single one of these. And you will notice I color-coded them for very obvious reasons, but easier for me to spot with my old eyes is the main reason why, but it certainly makes a really good and accurate visual. You'll notice everything in black. Let me cover that first. Any one of these that you see in black, also look to the far right in that column where it says GASNS. What that means is gun at school, no shoot. That's my acronym. I created that because I got tired of typing gun at school, no shooting. So that's why I created this acronym. You will see that I use it pretty darn often throughout here. So January 4th was the first day of the year that any, quote, school shooting was captured. The very first instance they put right there is literally not a school shooting. It is simply a kid with a gun at school. No shots were fired, no danger to anybody, other than the fact that you have a gun in a backpack at school. Obviously, that is a potential danger. But sometimes these kids, as you will see in many of these cases, are simply doing this for ego reasons, for showing out, and things like that. If nothing else, it's a little bit kind of like a rooster fluffing up its tail and its feathers. It's just kind of like a cock of the walk type thing, strutting around trying to show people what they've got and that they're big shots. Notice the red line. The red line is literally, out of 77 school shootings that the Gun Violence Archive registered for the month of January, this is the only school shooting. You guys will remember Perry, Iowa, where the kid walks into the school with a shotgun and I believe a handgun, and he shot and killed an 11-year-old. He shot the principal, I believe, who eventually died, and a couple of other people who did not die. They just had injuries. So one school shooting on January 4th. Now look at the next one, the gray one. If you look at the far right-hand column, it says suspicious man walking on school property, possibly carrying a gun, was not, no shoot. Now I want you guys to be honest and ask yourself this question. Does that situation belong captured as a school shooting? Again, suspicious man walking on school property, quote, possibly carrying a gun. He was not. There was no shooting and there was actually no gun. This is listed as a school shooting. No one was injured. No one was shot. You think I'm being unreasonable about this? Let's continue. Look at the next one. Road rage at University of South Florida College. Brandishing, no shoot. This was at a university. 2 people, road rage situation on a street near the school. One guy brandished a gun. No shots were fired. Captured as a school shooting. Look at all the rest of these in black on this page. Let's go to the next page. Look at all the rest of these in black. Those are all guns at school, no shoot. Now let's look at that orange one down at the bottom. And I'm going chronologically, so the list starts from the back and goes forward. That's why I'm working from the bottom going up. Look over to the right. Confrontation after night basketball game. 1 shot. One guy shot another guy playing basketball on or near school property at night. Not even immediately after school when kids were around, but literally after dark. Remember that definition they said earlier, that they did not include ones that were near or after hours? Remember that? Just remember these things in the back of your mind. I'm trying to make you guys understand that there is a deceitful intent with the people assembling this list. And at the same time, I want to make sure that we are accurately capturing things, because if we have a problem, I want to help fix it. This is not a school problem. This is people playing basketball after hours problem. Look at the next one. Coastal Carolina University apartment parking lot near college, 5:12 a.m. No one shot. Another case of no shoot. Another case of a university. And actually, it's a university parking lot of an apartment complex. It's not even on campus. Let's go to the next page. Okay, look down here at the first gray one. 37-year-old male found dead in school parking lot. So, to make you fearful to send your kids to school, we're capturing school shootings so that everybody will know what the real threat is, right? We got a lot of school shootings out there. Somebody killed themselves, apparently, or somebody killed them after hours, and the body was found in a school parking lot. They're calling this a school shooting. Now, granted, you might be thinking, well, there might have been a threat because if somebody killed him after hours at school, that could have been a threat over there at that location. I agree with that. But was it a school shooting? Shouldn't that be listed as a suicide or a homicide somewhere else? Because it wasn't a school shooting. When you make a headline that says school shooting, do you think it would make sense or get anybody's attention? Or actually, probably they would accuse you of crying wolf if your headline read school shooting and then below that you said man found dead in car at school after hours. They probably wouldn't believe you anymore if you put that in a news article. The next orange one you see up there on January 18th, shot fired off college campus at 11:48 p.m. Window at college damaged. So here again, Gun Violence Archive said they did not capture these as gun shootings in their definition of a school shooting. Yet, here we are, almost midnight, off campus, and we have a school shooting. My 15-year-old son certainly wouldn't have been there. The next gray one up there on January 18th, 36-year-old woman with a gun in pocket walked into school, deemed, quote, not a threat to the school or students. No shoot. Granted, the woman did have a gun. Let's be fair here. I don't want a 36-year-old woman walking into my son's school with a gun. They deemed, the quotes that I put right there, they said that. They deemed her not a threat. So probably some crazy woman that had a gun, patted her down, they found the gun. I don't know the details on it, but this, by their own definition, was not a threat. And nobody got shot and no shots were fired. Look up at the green line. This is the only green line that we have. 5:45 p.m. This is well after school has been dismissed. A 30-year-old man playing basketball with a gun in his pocket. Gun fell out, shooting the man in his leg. That's listed as a school shooting. After hours, accidental shooting, grown man. Do you think that if you wrote the headline, school shooting, and then put underneath it, man playing basketball after hours, gun falls out of pocket and shoots himself in the leg, do you think that anybody would take that serious if you called that in the headline a school shooting? If you wouldn't write this as an article with the headline being school shooting, then why are you including it in school shootings? Unless you have another motive. And just for the sake of being consistent, let's look further up. The next gray one up, UCF College near a parking lot. A man threatened a bus driver. No shoot. No shots were fired. Guy just threatened somebody else on a college campus near a parking lot. No gun was fired. Nobody was shot. It's listed as a school shooting. I don't think I need to bore you with the rest of these because you can go look at these yourself. In fact, I will find a way to get all of these spreadsheets put out online so that you can look at my stuff and see if I am wrong. But I make sure to show you every single screenshot on here so that if you want to pause the video to look at my spreadsheet and poke holes in it and tell me where I'm wrong, I'm happy to take that feedback from you if you would like. Because I don't have anything to hide here. I'm trying to uncover the truth. And the last page here, look at all the orange. Okay, let me just go through them real quick. After hours basketball game, shot fired in the air, parking lot confrontation by two former students. After hours fight after basketball game, shot fired in air, no one shot. Fight in parking lot, one student shot. Fight at school, shot fired, one student grazed by bullet. After hours girls basketball game, no injury, confrontation, shot fired in air outside the school. While I did include some of these that you see where a student at the school shot at another student, the reason why I put these in orange and have them taken out is because, number one, it's not like all the other ones that are in black where it was simply a gun at a school. But it's also not your typical school shooting. That's why I didn't put it in red. This is not somebody showing up to school and trying to indiscriminately and randomly shoot as many people as possible. This is just like my breakdown that I did of the, quote, mass shootings. because they are separate. You have your rampage killings where people are trying to kill a bunch of people. They don't care who they are. They just want to make a body count, so to speak. Then you have your domestic, and then you have your gang-related or confrontational shootings. That spills over into, quote, school shootings, because our confrontation shootings that we would have are also included in some of these school shootings. They are not your prototypical school shooting that we think of when we hear the word school shooting. These are simply people that came to school. They were not trying to shoot a whole bunch of people. They were simply arguing with somebody specific, and they shot at them or they shot in the air. Now again, all of these black ones are guns at school, no shoot. Look at this chart that I put together, guys. And I'm going to make this available too if you want one. I wrote up here, these charts represent the accurate breakdown by Legally Armed America of the incorrect inclusion by the Gun Violence Archive of all types of varying scenarios regarding schools where there was either a real or perceived danger. These include guns at school, no shoot, after hours incidents on or near school, college campus incidents, and actual school shootings. All of these incidents were classified as a, quote, school shooting by the Gun Violence Archive. Look at my numbers here. First, look at the bar chart right here. You're going to see guns at school, no shoot. Look at those numbers. 54 guns at school in the month of January. We're going to come back to that in a minute. Right down below that, after hours off campus. Right below that, miscellaneous. We had a couple in there. We went through most of those already. Right below that, school shooting and then accidental, one each. Look at the pie chart. 70% of what the Gun Violence Archive classifies as a school shooting were students with guns at school in their backpacks or in their lockers. 70%. 54 total guns at school in 1 month. 1 month. Now, these were all classified as school shootings. Nobody was shot or injured, but yet they classify these as a school shooting. Look at the 17%. That's the after hours off campus. That is also not a school shooting. Those 10% you see right there, also not shootings. 1% accidental. That is not a school shooting. We had one school shooting. The numbers break that down to being 1%. 1% of the 77, and that's actually obviously less than 1%. So less than 1% of the 77 school shootings was an actual school shooting. 99% of what the Gun Violence Archive claims is a school shooting in the month of January are incorrect. The data does not support the numbers that they've put out. Guys, looking at these numbers, I dug into these numbers because I wanted to find out legitimately what the problem was. Seriously. I didn't dig into these numbers by the Gun Violence Archive to prove them wrong. I didn't do this to show that they were lying. I didn't do this to show that their database was completely inaccurate and incorrect. I did this because everybody else references this database and this website, so I figured it must be a pretty legitimate source, right? It's not. Yet the White House, politicians, all the anti-gun safety groups, they call themselves, reference this website. The news media references this website. It's not accurate. Practically the entire database is inaccurate. How do you trust? If you get one or two wrong, I get it. But how do you trust a website that is wrong 99% of the time? How do you ever look at even one line of this afterwards and go, that might be right? No, not when you get it wrong 76 times. Again, we had one school shooting in January. They got it wrong 76 times. And look at our biggest number, gun at school. This is from coast to coast. We had 54 instances of guns at school. I'm not talking about college. I'm not talking about universities. I'm at least trying to be fair here. I'm not inflating these numbers to include colleges to make my numbers sound better. These 54 instances of guns at school were in grades 1 through 12. Guys, can we legitimately look each other in the face and look at these numbers and go, we have a gun problem? Or maybe, and this is tough, oh, I'm gonna be called racist for this. Why, I don't know, because there's bad parents everywhere. This is a parenting problem. This ain't a race problem. This ain't a school problem. This ain't a gun problem. We got 54 kids who thought it was okay to bring a gun to school. Or they thought they would do it anyway. They knew that it was wrong, but they did it anyway. Where's the parents? You think 54 kids a month with guns in their backpacks? Remember, they are prohibited people. So that's 54 kids who broke the law. You think this is acceptable? You don't think the parents have any responsibility here? You don't think the parents, now this is probably a loaded question, you don't think the parents noticed anything and might start needing to monitor their children? I'll answer that for you. The parents probably didn't notice anything because the parents ain't parenting. That's part of the problem. That's part of the breakdown of this entire country, is the fact that parents ain't parenting anymore. These kids are left to do whatever they want to do. You can make this about race if you want to, because I'm not. Because I don't know what the race of any of these kids, these 54 kids that brought guns to school, I don't know what the race of a single one of them is. I didn't look. I don't care. I know I have 54 families right here that need to do a better job of parenting.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's so horrible!